Good afternoon. Welcome to the show. Looks like it may get up to 60 degrees today. It feels good outside.
So pretty.
Hopefully the frozen pipes and snow is behind us, Chastity.
Hopefully, me too.
I want to be outside. I want to do some outside stuff.
Cabin fever.
Yeah, I'm ready to get out, play some tennis, walk around, do something to not freeze my tail off. So today looks like the day, but then again, rain comes in tonight. But then the rest of the week looks like it's starting to warm back up. So going in the right direction. And I'm no meteorologist, but I do have an app on my phone that tells me it looks good.
There you go.
Got a great show in store for everyone today. Bart Benton, a buddy of mine, he is with Benton & Benton Law out of Monroe, is going to be visiting with us shortly. In the second hour, a friend of mine, Gary Wilson. He is the founder of All Turf. If you are an aspiring business owner, an entrepreneur, man or woman, young or old, you're going to want to listen to this interview because this is a good, old-fashioned small business success story. So we're going to be visiting with Gary in the second hour. We had Lance Goodson of Loganville Ford scheduled, but Lance and the family have the flu.
Yes.
So we told him, stay away.
Yes. It's
Get
going
healthy.
around. So, yes, stay home. Keep your germs to yourself.
Yeah, we don't need anybody barfing at the studio, but we look forward to having Lance back on and learning about all the great things going on at Loganville Ford and learning a little bit more about Lance himself. So it's going to be a lot of fun. So, Chastity, do you remember when a few years back there was a bakery out west, if I remember, I think it was in the state of Washington, possibly Oregon, that refused to bake a cake for a gay couple?
Yes.
There was two dudes wanted to get married. They went to the baker and they said, bake us a cake with two dudes on it. And the bakery said no.
Yep.
And this thing blew up, turned into a lawsuit, and the bakery ultimately lost, saying, you're being discriminatory.
Funny story. I actually literally was just thinking about that for some weird reason a couple of days ago. So funny you bring it up.
I thought
so
when you said funny story, I thought you were going to say you went to the wedding.
No.
No.
I thought
you were going to say you actually had a piece of the cake.
No.
So anyways, I'm going to tee that up first. So let's remember that.
Yes. Okay.
And so now we've heard the story a few weeks back that you had a Hampton Inn deny service to ICE agents, right? Where they would not let them allow them to make reservations to spend the night there because of the fact that they're ICE agents. And Hilton took the appropriate steps, disenfranchised that owner, and the story's history, right?
Okay.
Well, now, I think this happened yesterday. You had an episode where a gas station up in Minnesota, a Speedway gas station, has a video of the manager and some of the employees of the station refusing to serve ICE agents. Particularly, it was the Border Patrol commander.
Oh, wow.
And so I guess they were escorting him out of the store saying, we don't want to serve you. Now, so keep in mind, this is not a Speedway. I don't even know what Speedway is. It's probably like a racetrack, Quick Trip. It's the northern version of that. This is not a Speedway policy. This was the manager acting out on his own, saying, hey, we don't believe what you're doing is right, and we're not going to serve you. And so it starts to raise the question of, is this legal, right? Are you discriminating? It's not discriminating based upon religion or sex or race. You're discriminating because of somebody who they work for.
Right.
And so it kind of opens this legal conversation. I'm no attorney, but I can tell you right now, ethically and morally, it's wrong.
Sure.
These are men and women going to get their cars fueled, or maybe to get a Coke, maybe get a hot dog bag of chips, and you're denying them service because of what they chose as their career profession.
Well, and, if he were to ever be in a situation where he needs the police's help, then, kind of turn on him like that is just shocking, really. That's
right. It's funny how people behave when they want to demonstrate that they're anti-law enforcement, they're defund the police mentality, but then the minute things don't go well for them, what are they going to do? They're going to dial 911, and they're going to beg for an officer wearing a bulletproof vest and a sidearm to show up to defend or help them. And so, and once again, in this case here, ICE is following the president's orders to remove violent criminal, illegal aliens from our country, and they are doing their job. And this is just two situations that I cited here. There's been multiple scenarios where you've had restaurants deny service. You've had patrons at restaurants shouting and screaming at ICE agents.
I couldn't imagine.
Well, like I've said it 100 times, it is the same people that during the Vietnam War sat in airports and spit and cussed at our veterans returning from serving our country. It's the same folks, maybe not the exact same folks, but the same mindset, the same type of people that are willing to do this. But like I said, I don't know where the legal boundaries are. There's different people that are arguing different sides to this, saying, well, if you're a private business owner, you have discretion as to who you want to serve. Well, then let's go back to the bakery.
Right.
And say, hey, if it was against the baker's religious code,
right.
moral compass, to bake a cake that had a couple of guys on the cake, should they be allowed to deny service? And so, look, I'm a business owner. I'm going to serve everybody that comes through my doors, right?
Absolutely.
I don't care who as long as it's a legally operating business and you're allowed to operate. Now, I do have discretion as to what we're going to put, whether it's my magazine or radio station, what we're going to put in there.
Sure.
I've got discretion. I'm not going to let you say foul things. I'm not going to let you,
of course not.
But if you are a hairstylist, and I don't care what persuasion or walk of life you are, if you want to advertise with us, we're going to take your ad and we're going to help promote your business.
Absolutely. It just focuses on the narrative that their propaganda that they're pushing. So
well, it's anti-American, it's anti-law enforcement, it's anti-military. Consistently, that's what these radicals on the left are supporting is anarchy, and they will go to war to protect criminals. They will go to war to protect criminals. You can see it right now. They'll take to the streets in March to be sure that criminals are protected and given sanctuary.
Shame.
You listen to the Marc McMain Show, digging into some topics before we get into our first guest. What is the next one here? Okay, this. Oh yeah. So now what's happening is the ICE agents are going to start wearing body cams. And I think this is a good thing. And this is an initiative by the administration, by the White House, to say, hey, we need to be sure we're doing this not just to protect citizens, really to protect the agents themselves, so that people can see from their perspective what they're dealing with on a daily basis. This will give a bird's eye view to the absolute chaos and anarchy that they're facing when they go to execute their job. And so this is designed not just to protect citizens, protect the agents. That way, people, if there's ambiguity as to what took place, if there's an altercation or, God forbid, a major event, then you have a up-close personal viewpoint of what is going on. So I think this is a good thing. And then President Trump announced this is also, I think, a step in the right direction as he continues the efforts to defund or stop federal dollars going to institutions who are advocating far-left radical policies. So right now his beef was with Harvard University, and it looked like they had reached an agreement a few months ago because Harvard, we saw that they were really giving a voice to these anti-Semitic groups and not cracking down the way they should have. But Chastity, it goes beyond that. Some of these Ivy League institutions and beyond, not just Ivy League, some of the secondary learning institutions are really advocating for far left policies and indoctrinating the students.
Yes.
And they do it through the means of professors having influence over young minds. These are 18, 19, 20-year-old young people. My book, they're still kids. And they use that influence and leverage to sway their political persuasion, and I think it's dangerous.
Yes.
And the proof in that is if you go back and you look at the data that shows some of these institutions, upwards of 80 to 90% of them vote Democrat. So this is not, we're not gaslighting anybody here. This is just factual stuff. And so President Trump is saying, hey, if you're going to do that, if you're going to engage in that behavior, if you are actually going to try to sway young minds, you're not going to get federal dollars. And I'll tell parents this, especially if you're at the age of your youngster graduating within the next year or two, be sure that you're sending them to an institution where they're going to teach them and not indoctrinate them.
Right.
There's a major difference.
There's a lot of that going on.
There sure is. So we just had a little election out in Texas. This is kind of deja vu for us, what just took place here over in Oconee County, a special election out in Texas. This was a state Senate seat. We had a state House seat that we lost over here back in December. State Senate seat that went heavily to Trump. The Democrats just won by 14 points. And once again, this is an indicator more than anything that the Republicans are a little bit asleep at the wheel. And these special elections are biting them in the tail because they're not paying attention. And I got to say that lightly. I don't know that Republicans are not paying attention. Republicans are just living life, right? Conservatives are just getting after it. They're working, raising their family, running businesses, doing their thing. And the special elections are not on everybody's radar, and the left is ultra focused on these. So the Democrats have flipped a seat here and there, and they're using this as momentum to carry into the spring primaries and ultimately into the general election in November. But look, no matter how you slice it and dice it, it's not a good loss for the GOP, and it's a wake-up call.
Yes. Yes, these smaller elections are just as important as our huge general election that, takes place every 4 years. And I think that we need to put more emphasis on everyone getting out in between and making sure that their voice is heard.
There's no doubt in these smaller elections, you're right, Chastity. When you look at who you're electing for your commissioners, for your state representatives, your state senators, these are guys who are men and women who are making a difference, who are making policy changes that directly affect you, and they directly affect you almost to an immediate point. I mean, if the General Assembly now passes a law and the governor signs it into law in June, this goes into effect, if not immediately, in the next calendar year.
Sure.
So these are big deals. You got to be paying attention. You got to look at what's going on. Understand who your elected officials are. And like Jeff Hood, we have on the show so often, we'll talk about the different committee meetings and the different opportunities for you to go and view, almost participate in how the legislation is crafted. You can actually, if you go down there, you can get up and speak when they have some of these hearings, when they're debating and discussing a proposed rule change or law change.
That's amazing.
It is. It is your opportunity as a voting citizen to go and get involved.
Yes.
I ask you to do that. I ask you to vote. I ask you to get involved. Just don't complain when you don't like the way it is if you didn't do it.
Sure, exactly.
Because there's a chance to move the needle. You're listening to the Marc McMain Show. When we come back, my buddy Bart Benton with Benton and Benton Law. Stick around.
Looking for that perfect piece of jewelry designed just for you? At P&A Jewelers, family owned since 1976, we've been helping our customers shine for nearly 50 years. Now proudly run by second-generation brother and sister team, we specialize in custom jewelry design, expert repair work, and fine jewelry for every occasion. Visit P&A Jewelers, where family tradition sparkles. Located in Loganville beside Quick Trip, or online at shoppajewelers.com. Follow us on Facebook to see what's new.
When you walk through the doors of Campton Restaurant, you're not just here for a meal. You're part of a tradition. I'm fourth-generation owner Josh Parker, and for nearly 40 years, families in Walton County and surrounding areas have gathered around our tables to share stories, laughter, and good Southern cooking. From crispy fried chicken to heart-healthy daily specials, there's always a plate waiting with your name on it. We're open Tuesday through Thursday from 11 a.m. to 8:30 p.m. and 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. Fridays and Saturdays. So come on by, make yourself at home, and experience Campton Restaurant, where family tradition meets every meal.
Hey, this is attorney Bart Benton with Benton & Benton. I live and work right here in Monroe, Georgia, and I am proud to serve this area. If you've been hurt in a car accident, you don't need some out-of-town lawyer that treats you like a number. You deserve a local lawyer you can trust, someone who lives here, works here, and takes care of people. So remember this, if you're ever in a car accident, be smart, call Bart. Benton & Benton, local lawyers you can trust.
Welcome back, Marc McMain. Our first guest of the day is my buddy Bart Benton with Benton and Benton Law. Bart, how are you doing, sir?
Good, Mark.
I was looking forward to having this conversation with you because you are a busy man, so we don't get to talk that much. So this is the one way I get to pin you down and just chat with you for a little bit. So it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, for at least 15 minutes.
That's right, for 15 minutes. Hey, Bart, let's start off. Tell our listeners a little bit about you, your family, your roots growing up in Monroe.
Yes, sir. So I'm born and raised in Monroe, graduate of George Walton Academy. Then I played basketball for the College of Charleston and wanted to follow in my father's footsteps and be a lawyer, so I went to Georgia State University for law school. Worked in Atlanta, big law firm, did that life, and decided at the end of 2020 that I wanted to come back home to Monroe and fulfill a lifelong dream of starting a law firm with my dad, the former Judge Eugene Benton.
That is just fantastic. Now, I just learned something new about you. I didn't know that you shot hoops.
Yeah.
You still got game?
Sir. College of Charleston.
All right. Do you still go? Do you in a church league? Are you playing some civic organizations? Are you still playing?
No, I'm more of a golfer now.
Okay, switch professions. I like that. Well, good. Learn something new every day. And tell us about that with your father being a retired judge, just tremendous reputation here in Walton County. Was that an inspiration from you? Did you know at a young age, man, I want to follow in Dad's footsteps, I want to be an attorney, or was this didn't come around till later in life?
It was basically from the time I was mature enough to start thinking about what I want to do, which was, elementary, middle school time frame. I always knew I wanted to be a lawyer. I just really always looked up to my dad. He's always been a mentor. And he told me, when you're a lawyer, you really affect people's lives. It's very important stuff. You're making a difference. And I saw firsthand like how people thought of my dad and how much they respected him. And I wanted to be able to have respect like that and do things like my dad was doing.
That makes sense. Yeah. What about going into partnership with your dad? Is that being partners with family members? Look, being a partner with somebody to begin with is not always easy.
Right.
Sometimes being partners with family members, that you're kind of crossing boundaries sometimes. Has that been a good thing? Have you guys, have you found like an ebb and flow to work together on this?
Yeah, it's been good because, my dad, he was an attorney for a really long time. Then he got elected to be the Superior Court judge of the Alcovey Circuit. So by the time we started our firm, my dad was in his 60s, and he was more there for moral support, a mentor, somebody to bounce ideas off, whereas I was the one doing most of the operations. So it was a good fit because my dad, at his age, wanted to be in that role, and then I was a young guy trying to make it in this world. So it actually worked really well. Yeah,
so he's kind of being a mentor and then letting you just get out there and get after it and do the lifting. I like that. And I know you've posted on social media from time to time these notes that he writes, and they're just very thoughtful. I read them. I read the notes, and my father's still alive at 85 years old, 84 years old, and it really is special, that bond, that relationship that y'all have. And so I think it's a unique thing that you've got and able to have him there, being that mentoring role as you get this business. Because it's not easy to open a business, and far more difficult, I'm sure, to do a law firm. There's a lot of moving parts of what you're doing.
Yeah, it's very competitive, especially we're a personal injury law firm, and that's the most competitive type of law there is in terms of marketing and getting business, and then the actual litigation of the cases, because a lot of times there's a lot of money at stake. So that's going to bring a lot of people are going to want to be involved in that. Yeah,
high stress moments. And do that. Tell us about the law firm. Tell us about what your specialty is. I know you just talked about law, but kind of give us the scope of everything that you guys do.
Yeah, so we are all we do is personal injury cases, and that runs from a car wreck, or a tractor trailer, any kind of commercial vehicle. We also accept nursing home cases, medical malpractice cases. But for us to get involved in the case, it's got to be what we say in the law, a catastrophic injury. So that catastrophic, the way we define it is you had to have a surgery, or, you are paralyzed, or you died. I mean, it's very sad stuff.
Right.
But the reason we limit it to just that is those cases take a lot of time and effort, and a lot of it's just like counseling your client, like on a personal level, because they've been through so much. We can't help a bunch of other people who have fender benders. We don't have the bandwidth. We focus our stuff on very significant, severe injury cases that most of the time it involves corporation on the other side.
And I appreciate the way you do this, because this is a big deal. You're listening to the Marc McMain Show. Our guest is Bart Benton with Benton Law. Bart, that is, because what that does, then it separates you, and I'm going to use this phrase carefully, but it separates you from the ambulance chasers. You're not out there looking just to make a buck. You're looking to really help somebody who has gone through a traumatic, life-changing, life-altering experience due to negligence on somebody else's behalf.
Right. Yeah, we're very boutique in the way we run our firm.
Yeah. And God forbid, that anybody needs your services, but it's nice to know that there's somebody out there that has the firepower, when something like that happens. So got a couple legal questions for you here. We're just going to throw
Yes,
some
sir.
stuff out, and I know this isn't legal advice. If I step out my front door and I slip and break my leg, can I sue myself?
You cannot.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Well, it hadn't happened. I'm just curious. But you hear
You
hear
can't
those
sue your
stories.
wife either.
I can't talk. Got it. All right. That's even bigger. So she can't sue me either then, right? I don't have to worry about Liliana suing me?
Yeah.
All right. Well, good. Good.
But there are situations, it's funny you asked that, where, your boyfriend, let's say boyfriend and girlfriend are in a car and the boyfriend causes the wreck and the girlfriend gets hurt, she can sue that boyfriend's insurance. And a lot of times, we've had that situation come up before, and we say, we're not suing you, Mr. Boyfriend. We're just getting the insurance that you've already paid for to cover it. So that has actually happened before.
I would imagine that adds a certain level of stress to the relationship, post outcome. That may be something that is tough to get over. But
Yeah.
but you're saying once you're married, then that's off. That there's
You
no
can't
more of
sue
that.
your spouse for injuries like that.
What are some bizarre stories, without disclosing any secret stuff, but what are some bizarre things that either you've heard of or that you've had clients call you, say, hey, can I, sue my dog for da-da-da-da-da, my dog bit me? Is there anything that comes to mind that's like, oh, come on, you can't be serious?
Yeah, people calling about, I remember one call, they were telling me, I fell down the stairs. And I said, okay, well, what was wrong with the stairs? Nothing. I said, well, what do you mean? What were you doing? I was just carrying my laundry basket down the stairs at my apartment. And I said, well, there's got to be something that, were the stairs broken? Was there, like a slippery substance on them? No, I just fell. I said, well, you can't sue for that.
You can't sue for being clumsy. There's a certain level of coordination that you're expected to operate with in life that keeps you on your 2 feet. So, oh, mercy. Well, and unfortunately, Bart, I do think we live in an age that has become somewhat litigious, and that people
Very much so.
Yeah, they're looking for that free, that cash out deal, and that's not the space that you guys operate in. And
No, because contrary to what a lot of people think, those cases that are ambulance chaser type cases, there's not a lot of value in those, and they're very heavily litigated by the insurance company for good reason, because they're like, we're not paying you a bunch of money for this.
Sure.
Yeah. So that's another reason we stay away from them, because there's just not a good business model.
Yeah.
Now, you'll have these big firms that have 10,000 of them, and if you do enough of them, that volume adds up. It makes a lot of money, but we're not in the business for that.
Yeah, and I appreciate that. I really do. You're listening to the Marc McMain Show. Our guest, Bart Benton, Benton & Benton Law, located right here in Monroe. They are a specialized injury firm. If you are, God forbid, severely injured, or even worse and beyond, these are the folks to call, especially if there's negligence at play. If somebody did not do or did something that led to that, you want to reach out to Bart. Bart, tell our listeners how they can get in touch with you and how they can learn more about you.
Yeah, so the best way to get in touch with me is, and this is a perk of being a small law firm, is I give all my clients my cell phone number. So if anybody out there is listening right now, you can have my cell phone number. It's 770-365-6414. Text or call me. I have people text and call me all the time with legal questions. I'm happy to answer them. But if you just want to check us out, website-wise, our website is www.bentonandbentonlaw.com.
That's fantastic, Bart. I hope you've been staying warm. It's been absolutely freezing out there. I know in this weather you've not been playing any golf.
No, I'm counting down the days till April and May.
Yeah, well, it's going to be close to 60 today, so it's going to be extra warm.
Yeah.
Please tell your mom and dad we said hi. I appreciate what you guys are doing, and we look forward to having you back on. Any updates that you have for us in the future? And you know what we need to do? This would be kind of neat, Chastity, is schedule Bart to call back in, and what we can do is maybe talk about scenarios, right? Give people ideas.
Yeah.
If somebody's dealing with a tragic event, how to proceed. Because Bart, I get those calls quite often where I'll have friends that say, hey, Mark, I just had something major happen to me. Who do I call?
Right.
And not always is going to fit your perspective, but you may be able to refer them to somebody else. And these are people
we
that
do that
have
all
needs.
the time.
Yeah. So that would be time well spent to do that at some point. So I got to give people those guardrails and barriers of, hey, yeah, you've got a case, or no, you don't have a case. You're just looking for a paycheck, or no, you truly need compensation for damage that's been done to you.
Right.
Well, Bart, you've been awesome. I appreciate you, buddy. Stay warm, and look forward to seeing you soon.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mark.
Absolutely. It's Bart Benton, Benton & Benton Law. They're located in downtown Monroe. They specialize in, let's just call it, heavy-duty tragic events.
Yes.
That's their wheelhouse. And what I like about Bart, I've known him for years, he operates with a level of integrity that if I was to engage with an attorney, that's the guy I want to use.
And he just gave out his cell phone number.
That's right.
On air.
That's right.
Great. Yep.
Good guy. Visit the website.
Absolutely.
You're listening to the Marc McMain Show. When we come back, Charlie Morgan's going to fill in for Lance Goodson, and we got a lot of stuff to talk about. Hold tight.
Whether you're mowing, grading, or just taking care of your property, you need the proven reliability of #1 selling Kubota compact tractors to help you get it all done right. Stop by today. Right now, bring home select Kubota equipment with 0% financing available, or save up to $3,250. Now through February 28th. See us or go to KubotaUSA.com for full disclaimer.
Your local Kubota dealer is Hayes Tractor, located at 545 Highway 11 in Social Circle. Online at HayesTractor.com.
Need a little pick-me-up? We've got just the thing. From Motown magic to British invasion brilliance, from classic country gold to rock and roll that raised a gentleman. We play the songs that make you smile, sing along, and remember when life moved just a little slower. Feel good again with the 50s, 60s, 70s, and early 80s on Good Time Oldies FM 102.5 WKUN, where every song is a memory waiting to happen.
Youngblood Tractor in Madison is proud to be your local Massey Ferguson dealer. Massey Ferguson has been building straightforward, dependable, and affordable tractors and farm equipment for 175 years. Massey Ferguson right now has the best lineup in their 175-year history, and there has never been a better time to upgrade to a Massey Ferguson tractor. Youngblood Tractor carries the complete lineup of Massey Ferguson tractors, ranging from the 22.5 horsepower subcompact all the way up to the 130 horsepower mid-range utility tractor. And with one of the largest trailer inventories in the state, you'll always have a way to get it home. Youngblood Tractor also carries the complete lineup of hay equipment, including the legendary Massey Ferguson 1840 square baler, as well as implements like rotary cutters, batwing cutters, box blades, grapples, pallet forks, and more. There are great financing promotions to take advantage of, so give us a call today at 706-342-2242. Youngblood Tractor also has experienced parts and service departments to take care of you after the sale. Visit us online at www.youngbloodtractor.com or stop by and see us at 1600 Athens Highway in Madison.
John's Supermarket in downtown Monroe is proud to serve the Walton County community for over 50 years. 3 generations of the Thompson family offering the freshest produce, quality meats, everyday essentials, and now featuring Bistro South, a quick service restaurant with freshly made Southern cuisine and ready-to-heat gourmet meals. Always proud to support local farmers and suppliers, John's Supermarket has the best meat in town and tons of weekly specials. Stop by and see them for all the ingredients, meals, snacks, sweets, gifts, and everything in between you need.
Need a hot biscuit in the morning? You'll find that at Stripling's General Store. Need a hot lunch like chicken with some of your favorite side dishes? You'll find that at Stripling's General Store. How about some yummy barbecue or Brunswick stew for dinner? You'll find that at Stripling's General Store. Plus there's ice, fuel, snacks, cold beverages, and so much more. It's your one-stop shop. That's Stripling's General Store. Highway 78 East and Highway 53 in Bogart. Open 7 days a week.
And welcome back, Marc McMain. Lance Goodson called in sick, flu,
Yes.
so we're filling space. I called Charlie and said, Charlie, we need a
us
pinch
out.
hitter to come in off the bench.
Come on to the big leagues. I was
That's
like, ooh,
right.
where are we going? He's
right.
like, no, you're just going to the studio.
Got you calling the majors today, Charlie.
Yeah, I love it.
Hey, we were talking about bumper music, and it made me think, and I forgot to mention this, Chastity. I think I want some new bumper music.
Okay.
I love my intro.
Yes.
That's a rock star intro.
No.
Oh, I agree.
I'm all ears.
What are my options for bumper music? Do I have to stay in the lane of country? Can I pull something on like real bumper music? You know how like Hannity's got what's the one, When Freedom Rings?
Oh, Martina McBride.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
I need
Okay,
give me
we'll
some
do that.
options.
All right.
Something that's
I'll
heavy
send you
hitting.
some.
Stager. There's some EDM in there or
yeah.
something.
I need some, what's EDM?
Sounds like it's skipping. Doom, doom,
like dance music, like lights out, rave music.
That's funny. Could you imagine?
No, absolutely not.
See, that would be good for Shelley Winter. That'd fit his style.
Oh, yes.
I'm not
He would
cool
love
enough for
that.
Shelley would
Actually,
love
yeah.
that. No, I think more like, I don't know. I'll give you some options. Something, it's got to be hard hit. It's got to match my energy.
So kind of patriotic, maybe.
Fast moving.
Patriotic with some 80s kind of popular artists.
Let's
type.
do this. I'm going to ask the listeners to email some options.
Hey, there you go.
Send it to info@wmoqfm.com.
Please.
I know some of those suggestions are going to be snarky, and that's fine. I can deal with that.
That's okay.
But maybe somebody will come up with something good.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be country.
Bounce around
it
with.
could be rock and roll.
Yeah, I'm thinking Bob Seger or something like kind of patriotic.
Predates me.
Predates.
Yeah.
Predates you.
love Bob
Everybody
Seger.
loves Bob
I
Seger.
love Bob Seger.
Nah, I'm thinking, it'd have to be something like Journey, Boston.
Oh, Journey's good.
Yeah.
Okay, now we know.
Or Bruce Springsteen.
Springsteen.
Born in
America.
Not Bruce Springsteen. No,
Oh, God, no,
Bruce
he's
Springsteen on
crazy.
the Martin show.
He is
That
crazy.
is not happening.
Is he?
Yes,
Oh, okay.
he's very crazy.
Yeah, he's whacked out.
He cray cray.
Okay.
All right.
Scratch that.
So Journey, I think I know the song.
Okay.
I don't know the name of the song, but I think I do know the song.
Okay.
Oh,
But we'll
I love
ask our
I love
listeners if they want to
Journey.
pitch in. info@wmoqfm.com. Tell us what the new bumper music should be, and we will get that bad boy route. So, Charlie, check this out. Are you guys following at all the Epstein Files drama?
The Epstein Files. A little bit. It is so much, and I feel like you're either in this camp of where you are all in, or you have you're all in, but you got your tinfoil hat on.
Right,
There's a lot of the
Sure.
conspiracy theorists.
That's a good way of
with
putting it. You're right.
And I am kind of in the middle, where it's I know about it, but I just don't have the bandwidth to know everything about it. I'm sure it is dirty. It is bad. It is very bad. And the fact that it's allowed to happen, and it feels like the worst kept secret. Mm-hmm. Like everybody knew and nobody was talking about it. And now that the American people know, or the world knows at this point, everyone's like, well, yeah, we all knew that. And it feels like we're all asking these questions, and the people we're asking the questions to that were involved are like, well, yeah, we all knew we were doing this. It's like, that's not how this works.
Well, and I'm going to look at this through the lens of my younger son, who is just infuriated because he feels that the information is being spoon-fed, right? That it's just being dribbled out. And, of course, there's a lot of redactions.
Purposely, I'm sure.
Purposely. And I know some of the redactions are truly to protect innocent people, specifically the victims. But there is an appetite from the American population. They just want to know, and they want they want
Transparency.
well, not just transparency. They want those held accountable. Those that did wrongdoing held
I
accountable.
completely agree. Your son is 100% in the right, and he is in the big majority when it comes to people that want this information. We deserve this information. We were told we were getting
That's
this
right.
information.
Yeah.
There was somebody that ran on that. I will release the Epstein files. We are a year into this, and we're getting just little dribbles of it.
Like little carrot, just kind of dangling
just enough
the
to
carrot.
keep.
Yep.
Well, and so now Bill Clinton has finally agreed to come in, and he's going to give his testimony, which will be interesting because he is the one name that keeps popping up, and that name's kind of been circulated in the Epstein Files deal for years, right?
Yes, and let's go back to what we know about Clinton. Not that I think he did it, but let's just think about what we know about him and his past. We know he likes younger interns when he's married.
Misbehaved.
We know he lies under oath.
Yep.
So why are we to think that him going under oath and testifying is going to be truthful?
Great point. Great point.
I mean, sure, put him under oath. I have 0% confidence in him.
Absolutely.
Well, and he's one that has taken trips on Epstein's private jet. He's been cited by Republicans as part of the rationale for seeking his testimony. This is, they want to hear what he's got to say, but you made a good point. He's lied before, so why would we believe what he's going to say now?
Yeah, I don't see a world where he is honest at all. And I mean, there's the whole conspiracy theory. Let me put my tinfoil hat on of, did him and Hillary have something to do with the, quote, suicide, quote, of Jeffrey Epstein? Remember, there's that whole thing of, the video was missing.
Is bizarre. I've dug into that, and that it's like you're talking about the one guy that should have been completely watched and protected kills himself.
Yes, exactly.
And they're
there's-
just so nonchalant
Yes.
about it.
And there's
They're
a
just
couple
like,
of other situations I do not know enough to even pretend, but there were a couple of other scenarios where the Clintons were involved and people died.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I don't want to buy into the conspiracy theories, but when it comes to the Clintons, I don't have a lot of confidence.
Well, you know
in
what
that.
else I'd like to see, if this is possible, if they can do this in such a way that it doesn't ultimately expose the young women who were targeted, that
Right,
were victims
right.
in this deal. Because remember, there's dozens of young girls that were victims in this
Right.
deal.
We've already had one, the most notable one with
and she killed
Prince,
herself?
and she killed herself.
Yeah,
I mean,
I know.
you can't imagine what these girls that are now women have had to deal with,
Right.
and what they are dealing with.
I would love to hear their personal accounts because they know who these people are, right? You would think they would recognize the
sure.
faces from back then. So that would, to me, would be the most damning testimony, is hearing them say, yes, that dude there, partook in the illegal activity. That's what I want to hear. And so again, I'm with my son that I want transparency, I want disclosure, and I want those that committed crimes held accountable. I don't care who they are.
Yes.
I want them held accountable.
100%.
Because they've destroyed lives. And look, let's not be ignorant. This type of crap is still going on as we speak right now.
Oh, it absolutely is. Whether it's on an Epstein level or not, it absolutely is still going on.
Yep.
And it's not in like third world countries that, we want to pretend like doesn't exist to us. It's happening right here in America.
Well, I still kind of have like a little tinfoil hat with the whole Epstein suicide because the way that they showed him on the stretch, it was pretty bad, but that is not normal. And if it doesn't make sense, something
There's a
is
lot
off.
of questions
So
about that.
Is
Yeah.
he really, is he still alive is my question.
That's interesting. All right. Didn't think about that angle. You're listening to the Marc McMain Show. Charlie Morgan, Chastity, my producer, we're just kicking it around. Let's shift gears. Did you hear the story? And I don't know this Today co-host Savannah Guthrie that well, but the story of her mom, Nancy Guthrie, that now looks like maybe she was abducted.
Abducted. But I mean, can you imagine? And I don't want to say we would probably never know this story if it wasn't Savannah Guthrie. She is an anchor on the Today Show. She's been there for decades. She's very well respected.
So she's a popular personality.
Yes, very popular
okay.
personality. And just very well liked. And it kind of came to light yesterday. Her mom is missing was the first headline.
That's what the first thing I saw.
The mom was missing. I was like, oh, that's tragic. She's 85. I wonder, and so my mind starts wondering, did she wander off?
Yeah, right.
Well, then police get involved and say her home is a crime scene. And I'm like, oh, that's odd. And then she was kidnapped in the dark of night. And now the latest thing I just saw a few minutes ago was like there's what did the police say? There's DNA evidence in her home. So I'm like, what does that mean? Because they're not really saying anything. So I just
they're saying
Google
it's
it.
a crime scene.
So they're saying like there's blood there.
Yeah, they say we do in fact have a crime indicating foul play. Yeah, it's frightening to think about. God knows what the poor lady's going through, praying she's still alive. But think about that for the family too, because that is not your typical target for an abduction.
No,
right?
Absolutely not. No.
For a crime, maybe, but an abduction is what makes it so strange.
No, and one thing having a husband, involved in law enforcement is he has told me is for the most part, stranger danger is not really a thing. It's usually it's usually someone someone you've had in contact with, whether it's some kind of sexual assault or some kind of shooting, like it could be a drug deal. Usually it's someone you know. Not to say stranger danger is not real,
right?
But it's very rare.
It's the lower percentage.
It is
crimes,
much lower, and so that adds, what I know about that adds an extra layer to this. And I'm sure the police are doing everything they can, but that is terrifying as a daughter myself to know my mother, could just be abducted in the strange, middle of the night and not know. Yeah. It's the not knowing too. That's what would eat me is she okay? But not knowing what happened and why. What could an 84-year-old woman who was realized missing because she didn't show up to church, like what could she possibly be involved in? Is it some kind of mistaken identity? Did they go to the wrong house, abduct the wrong person?
Well, Charlie, what this reminds me of, you may not remember this because this was 12 years ago. You were just a baby.
She's a baby.
You're so sweet to say that.
But 12 years ago, you had the couple in Oconee County. Lake Oconee
was
in
that
Putnam County.
12 years ago? Gosh,
that
I
was
remember that like it was yesterday.
May 2014. So what is it? Yeah, 12
I
years ago.
remember that too.
Wow. They said
Nothing.
beheaded
That
in
was
the
rough.
lake
Nothing.
and still have not found.
Yeah,
It's insane.
I think one of the bodies. Let's see. The fishermen found the body of Shirley Dermond, age 87, floating in a lake, Oconee, roughly 5 miles from the couple's home. Her body had been weighted down, and an autopsy showed she died of blunt force trauma to the head. And then I think perhaps did they find the head of the husband?
Yes,
Yeah,
there was a beheading, and
Yes.
I remember that. And you don't want to think it's impossible to even conceive something like that happening out here.
It was vice versa. His body was decapitated. His head was missing.
Okay,
Horrific.
it's horrific, and you don't want to think something like that could happen. We live in very rural area of
Right.
Georgia. Like you don't
Right.
want to
That
think.
doesn't happen.
Yes, no. But I remember when this happened, hearing like, could it be the mafia? Could it be the
That's
mafia?
what
And
I
you're
was
like,
thinking.
how is grandma and grandpa involved in the
What do
mafia?
they know? What do they know?
It's a
Didn't they
crazy
own, I know they
story.
owned some like Wendy's. I feel like
They
was
were a
something-
successful couple, yeah, they
Yes,
were
they had like some
entrepreneurs.
businesses. I feel like I remember
They did, and this has been unsolved. But now, recently in 2024, investigators sent evidence to an advanced forensics lab saying that they found DNA that does not match the Dermonds. So this is possibly a breakthrough. So maybe somebody else's DNA at the crime
Yeah,
scene.
that's the thing. Is like there's been so many advances in technology and
Yeah.
crime solving over the last 20 years, over the last 10 years, and over the last 5 years that they can bring these people back. That's how you hear a lot of people getting exonerated and released from jail because, new DNA evidence. I didn't do it. And that kind of thing. So you hope that those kind of cold cases can be solved.
I hope that would be an incredible one if they're able to find who killed those.
I
that
think
couple.
everyone around here will remember that. No, I can't believe it's 12 years ago because it's so just shocking.
Bizarre.
Yeah.
Yes.
You listen to the Marc McMain Show. Charlie Morgan, Chastity Stewart. We're kicking around some topics. I got one more topic. We're doing 2 segments, so I saved the heavy stuff for this one. The next segment will be more lighthearted.
Okay, because you're really getting me in the gut now. I'm like,
No.
God, I'm going to need something stronger than this mango drink here.
We're not out of the woods yet. This one is a heartbreaking story. If you remember back in October, there was a young girl, her name Kimber Mills. She was in Alabama. She was at a bonfire party, and this dude, I'm not going to mention his name, opened fire. I guess he was having an altercation with some other guys, and he breaks out a gun and just starts spraying bullets everywhere.
It's never
hits
good.
this poor girl, 18 years old, and kills her.
Oh, no.
And then hits 3 other. One of the boys was trying to save her. Mm-hmm. He survived. His name's Silas McKay, 21 years old. He was shot 10 times.
Oh, my gosh.
While trying to protect Mills and others during the incident. So he was basically trying to be a bullet sponge, hit 10 times and survived. But the real shocker in this whole deal, this animal that did this, they let him out on bond. So he's out walking. So he brings a gun to a bonfire,
Right.
gets into a fight, opens fire.
He obviously has great judgment.
Oh, yeah, just starts spraying people, kills the girl, tragically wounds 3 others, and then gets bond?
This
How
is not here, right? Because I
No,
know this would
Pinson-
never fly with our DA and our judges.
No, that would not happen here. This was Pinson, Alabama, which again you
Wow.
would think would be a conservative area, and of course the family of those that have lost and are injured are just
Shocked.
Yeah, they're shocked and frustrated.
Rightfully so.
But it's it just I remember when this happened, and they showed pictures of the girl, beautiful young girl, life completely ahead of her. Goes to a bonfire, thinking you're going to have a great time with your
Sure,
friends. Next thing
yeah.
you know, you're planning a funeral.
That's
So sad.
tragic.
Yeah, it
Absolutely
is.
tragic.
No bond, in my opinion. You're listening to the
Wow.
Marc McMain Show. When we come back, I promise we will make it a little bit more cheery. Not so many heavy-hitting subjects. Stick around.
Whether you're mowing, grading, or just taking care of your property, you need the proven reliability of #1 selling Kubota compact tractors to help you get it all done right. Stop by today. Right now, bring home select Kubota equipment with 0% financing available or save up to $3,250. Now through February 28th, see us or go to KubotaUSA.com for full disclaimer.
Your local Kubota dealer is Hayes Tractor, located at 545 Highway 11 in Social Circle. Online at hayestractor.com.
Youngblood Tractor in Madison is proud to be your local Massey Ferguson dealer. Massey Ferguson has been building straightforward, dependable, and affordable tractors and farm equipment for 175 years. Massey Ferguson right now has the best lineup in their 175-year history, and there has never been a better time to upgrade to a Massey Ferguson tractor. Youngblood Tractor carries the complete lineup of Massey Ferguson tractors, ranging from the 22.5 horsepower subcompact all the way up to the 130 horsepower mid-range utility tractor. And with one of the largest trailer inventories in the state, you'll always have a way to get it home. Youngblood Tractor also carries the complete lineup of hay equipment, including the legendary Massey Ferguson 1840 square baler, as well as implements like rotary cutters, batwing cutters, box blades, grapples, pallet forks, and more. There are great financing promotions to take advantage of, so give us a call today at 706-342-2242. Youngblood Tractor also has experienced parts and service departments to take care of you after the sale. Visit us online at www.youngbloodtractor.com or stop by and see us at 1600 Athens Highway in Madison.
John's Supermarket in downtown Monroe is proud to serve the Walton County community for over 50 years. 3 generations of the Thompson family offering the freshest produce, quality meats, everyday essentials, and now featuring Bistro South, a quick service restaurant with freshly made Southern cuisine and ready-to-heat gourmet meals. Always proud to support local farmers and suppliers, John's Supermarket has the best meat in town and tons of weekly specials. Stop by and see them for all the ingredients, meals, snacks, sweets, gifts, and everything in between you need.
Need a hot biscuit in the morning? You'll find that at Stripling's General Store. Need a hot lunch like chicken with some of your favorite side dishes? You'll find that at Stripling's General Store. How about some yummy barbecue or Brunswick stew for dinner? You'll find that at Stripling's General Store. Plus there's ice, fuel, snacks, cold beverages, and so much more. It's your one-stop shop. That's Stripling's General Store. Highway 78 East and Highway 53 in Bogart. Open 7 days a week.
Welcome back. Marc McMain, Charlie Morgan, Chastity hanging out. We're just visiting, talking about different things. I am going to lighten it up a little bit, Charlie, because I went heavy duty in the first segment.
Oh, you did.
Bad Bunny, we talked about this a couple months ago. He's coming to perform at the Super Bowl this weekend.
Yes, in a dress. He has
announced. Wearing a dress?
He has announced he will be wearing a dress during his performance.
Wow.
Man, I don't know anything about the Bad Bunny, but that's what I heard is that he's got, gender identity issues.
Yeah, I used to love watching like the MTV Awards and the CMT Awards and the Academy. I used to love watching all these things. And like the Grammy Awards were over the weekend, and I didn't take one moment to even look at the red carpet, to even look at the highlights. Like, I just don't care.
Because it's gone so wacky?
It's all grandstanding on political issues. I mean, Bad Bunny, I did see, I caught on Good Morning America Monday morning. His first thing out of his mouth is, before I thank God, I just want to say ice out and all this. And it's just before you thank God?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. More important than that, huh?
Yeah, and a handful of the others were just doing this grandstanding thing on politics, and it's just so silly. And I get that they want to try to, at least for Bad Bunny and why he was picked, the most streamed artist on Spotify. Okay, great. But are those 18-year-olds that are streaming this guy, are they out spending money? No, it's the 40-year-olds right here that are doing it. And you know what I won't be doing? Watching the halftime show.
Absolutely.
No, I'm not. I'll be watching the alternate halftime show, which we can talk about that in just a second. But what frustrates me is the commissioner of the NFL, Roger Goodell, has come out and said, oh, no, hey, I think, Bad Bunny understands that the Super Bowl stage is meant to unite people.
I do not think that at all.
He has no clue who this guy is.
I don't think... If there's anything I've learned about the NFL, the No Fun League, is they are not about bringing people together.
No.
I mean, let's look at the kneeling. Let's look at Colin Kaepernick. Let's look at the way they've handled these other things. They are not about unifying America.
Facts.
Well, and it's funny, if you look at the messaging that's on every NFL game, it's little things like stop racism, stop hate, and it's almost like to make you feel like you're part of the problem.
You're part of the problem.
So you're reading it and you're like, well, what am I doing?
Yes.
Who is that message for?
I'm not doing that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, think about it. So that's the question, is like, who is the message for? Mm-hmm. Because I'm not a racist. I don't hate. So who are you sending it to?
But yes, yeah.
But you're right. They just they wrap their arms around that crap, and I think this is nothing more than an indicator of, because I would imagine Goodell had a say in this. He is the commissioner.
He is, yes.
This is not some committee that overrides him. I'm sure he gives the rubber stamp of approval on whatever goes on. But to pick a guy who is a vocal anti-ICE, in my opinion, anti-U.S.
I was going to say, he's more than that. He's anti-American.
Yeah, he's anti-American. I don't know that I'll watch much of the Super Bowl. I typically watch a little bit in pieces, but ever since the Falcons lost to the Patriots, I kind of burned.
I don't want to talk about it. Don't even want to talk about it.
Next year's their chance.
Do you know anything about the alternate show that Turning Point's putting on?
I have heard Kid Rock's going to be doing that. Yeah, so that could be good. Yeah.
And
definitely be a good time.
From my hometown. He's from my hometown in Michigan.
Is he?
Maybe some Kid Rock for the bumper music.
Okay.
Give me some options on that.
Yeah.
Bow with the
I
ball,
love-
bang to bang.
Yes.
No, we're
Great
not
idea.
doing that one.
You got to check the lyrics. Be sure that
Yeah,
we don't get
we're not going to do that
FCC
song.
fine.
I'm going to go ahead and tell you that.
Oh, mercy.
I'll
All
know
right.
that.
Remember this name, Austin Appleby. They're going to make a movie about
Okay.
this kid. So this is a 13-year-old Australian that went with his mom and his 2 younger siblings
Okay.
on a little kayaking trip out in the ocean. Waters
Oh,
got rough.
okay.
They got stranded, and he had to swim 2.5 miles by himself. Took him 4 hours to go back to safety and get people to come help rescue. Great story. Everybody survived.
Oh my
Everybody lived.
Okay, but hold on one second. My sister-in-law has done Ironmans,
Yeah.
and she's never had to swim that far. That is that's
2
huge.
in rough ocean waters.
No, I would be. You would find
And
me
14.
washed up on some island, living like Tom Hanks with Wilson. Like there
I'd be
was
down at the bottom.
Yeah, there would be no hope for me. I can't believe he swam that
Oh,
far.
I know, and those, typically shark-infested waters. You heard the time shark attacks
Yes.
typically based in
Oh, I mean
Australia?
that's what Australia's known for.
Known for, yeah. And so they said that Austin initially tried paddling back for help on an inflatable kayak, but when it began to take on water, he didn't just abandon it. He ripped off his life jacket so he could swim better. The dude's a stud. 13 years old. He's going to be an Olympic swimmer.
Do you know how they say like when like something's happening and a mom can like lift a car kind
Yeah.
of thing,
Your
like your
adrenaline.
fight or flight
Yes.
kind of goes in,
Right.
and that has to be it. But
And-
can you imagine that adrenaline going for how long did it take him? 4 hours to
It said
swim?
It took him 4 hours through rough, choppy seas, with Austin battling large waves before finally reaching shore, raising the alarm, and then a search and rescue helicopter found his mom, his siblings. So his mom, Joanne, 47, 2 younger siblings, Bo, who's 12, and Grace, who's 8. Got them all back home, and thank God all four families
That is
recovered safely.
middle of the ocean. That is not right off the coast of PCB where where you can see everyone, and you're like 200
Don't go too
yards
far
out.
out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the middle of the ocean. If you are not think about the mental capacity, because I couldn't physically do that, but mentally I know I would have a panic attack.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Your mind starts taking over like I'm in the middle of the ocean.
I'm having a panic attack just
Yes.
reading about the kid.
Oh my gosh,
What a hero.
what a
Yeah.
man.
Yeah, they're
He
going to
had
make
a
a movie
guardian
about this.
angel for sure. Yes.
Great story. See, I told you this would be better stories.
Woo, you redeemed yourself. I was really worried for a minute there.
All right, check out this one. This is even. This is not better, but this is still good. So you had in Petaluma, California, there were 6 guys that did a smash and grab at a jewelry store. So they pull up in a car, leave the car running, go into the jewelry store, smashing and grabbing.
Yeah.
Well, an uninvolved bystander noticed that the suspect's getaway car was left empty and running. So he jumps in, and to try to stop the robbery, he takes it and he plows it into the storefront.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh!
So-
Just made it worse.
Well, but at least the thieves, they had to then take off by foot. One of the suspects allegedly pepper sprayed the bystander, so he gave him a little
oh
wet
my
fur.
gosh!
2 of the suspects were arrested.
Okay, well they should easily be able to find the others, but
Oh,
man,
yeah.
I don't know if I would do that. I mean, I feel like they were losing some jewelry. Now you just destroyed their whole store.
Well,
front.
but I love these stories. Like, did you see the one a couple of days ago about the guy that kind of blew through the TSA check line?
Yes.
And then the dude there picked him up and
Yeah,
body slammed him.
yes.
I love these stories of heroes stepping up and just taking matters into their own
but we
hands.
can't all be vigilantes.
Hey, if you check the box, if you're
Listen, I seen an officer just the other day pulling over a guy, and I was at the red light, and so the traffic was backed up, and the guy was trying to be resisting. I mean, I just, I
yeah.
could see him.
You
from-
saw this?
I seen it, and
Yeah.
so I literally was about to get into my mode and go help if I had to. So
I love Chastity for that, but can we please paint the picture
Right.
of Chastity? She is maybe 80 pounds, soaking wet, 5'3" on a good day.
She's full of fight. She's full
I
of
would,
fire.
yes, 100%.
Those are the
It's
ones
always
you
the
watch
little
for,
ones.
yeah.
It's always the little ones. But I love that you would have been there.
And she
I
packs
would
heat.
have.
She's packing
We're
heat.
all packing
Yeah.
around here. You don't mess with
Oh,
us.
yes.
That's right.
Exactly.
Well, I love that. I just love the hero stories. People stepping up, doing something, and of course when it's on video, that makes it even better. But you see somebody just rising to the occasion.
Yes.
And then you find out, it's some former wrestler, some MMA guy that's just some, stud.
Just happen to be at the right place at the right
Former
time.
Marine.
Yeah,
it's just
always
too good.
those.
It's too good.
Yep.
All right, the last one. This one is kind of unique. It says there's a new science research, and of course we can always believe science 100%, no matter what. Just drop our guard and let it believe it. No, this is legit. that genetics may account for up to 55% of a person's lifespan. So what that means is that regardless if you're eating good, exercising, some of us
You
are going to
can't
go
outrun genetics.
Yeah, some of us are going to go earlier than others. Or the flip side is some can just eat like pigs and
they'll be fine.
and live till they're 95 or 100.
I feel like I'm on the flip side of that. My mom's side of the family is not super healthy, and so I think that's probably why I try to eat healthier and work out, because I'm trying to counteract those.
Is there
genes.
longevity in your family?
My dad's side is a little bit better than my mom's side. They're just good old Southern people
Yeah.
and love their fried everything, and it's just not the picture of health.
Well, it's I think you still can counteract, even though if you're genetically predisposed to maybe something happening, there's still efforts you can take to
I
counteract
try,
it.
yeah.
No, I do
But
too.
I will not turn down a taco bar. I mean, that's
No,
for sure.
No.
Or our Dunkin'.
Pizza bar or a Dunkin'. Yes.
Are y'all back at it?
Look,
I thought we
this has
fixed
got
that.
this has got protein
Yes,
in it.
hers
She
is
picked it up
healthy.
for me. It's got protein in it.
Yeah, but you probably paid
Protein.
$14 for it.
No.
Well, I did not.
Yeah.
All right, we
didn't.
covered that in the
husband's
financial
listening.
literacy course that we did.
We did. I've gotten better.
That is too good. Too
All the
good.
coffee I've drank from home for all these years is making up for what I'm spending now at Dunkin'.
Well, and going back to this study, what I find interesting is there are now tests that you can take that tell you if you are maybe going to have a risk of cancer or Alzheimer's or
There are
different things.
so many things like that. When I was going through IVF, now this was 10 years ago when we were doing this, you could do all these genetic panels and find out, is there markers for breast cancer in their family? Is there markers for this in your family? And that was 10 years ago. So I can only imagine what they can do now.
Yeah, I've heard of the advances where they can actually tell you. I don't know if it's like for certain, but they can tell you you're
You
more
have these
likely,
markers, yeah.
that you're gonna contract this disease, you're gonna battle this issue later in life. I don't think I want to know.
No, I don't want to know.
Yeah.
Me either.
I mean, I want to stay healthy for as long as possible.
Right.
I'm not one of those that, I want to live to 100 if I can. There's a lot of things I got to do. There's work I got to get done.
You work the hardest.
I got to get things done. But I also wouldn't want to know if there's, if there's some doom and gloom waiting around the corner for you. I think I'd just rather deal with it when it comes.
Yeah.
Right.
Because then you'll fixate on that and kind of focus.
And I absolutely
Yeah.
will.
That'll kinda-
I don't want to know.
Then I would just
I
totally
agree.
give up. I'd start
I
just
agree.
eating everything. And why bother working out?
cares?
Right.
All right. You're listening to the Marc McMain Show. This is a lot of fun. Charlie, anything that you wanted to add? Anything I'm missing here?
No,
did I at
this
least
was, you
elevate
did
us in the
really
same-
good.
Okay.
Thank you.
So you're not going to go back and be depressed and
No, not today. Not
Or
today.
she'll come back on and join us.
I will
We
totally.
didn't
Hey, I always
scare
pop
her too
in.
if
much.
I invite you to come in again, you'll come back.
I will come back again.
All
Yes.
right. Well, good deal. You listen to the Marc McMain Show. We come back. Gary Wilson. This great story, folks. You want to hear this. This is a true small business, good old-fashioned small business success story. We'll be right back.
Real country.
This is Q92.3 WMOQ FM, Bostwick, Monroe, Madison. Your home for real country.
When looking for new shoes, the place to check out is K&D Shoes in Conyers. Family owned and operated for over 30 years, offering one of the largest selection of shoes for men, women, and for the kids. From name brands like Ariat, Rocky, Georgia Boot, Hey Dude, and others. You'll find everything from casual to work boots all under one roof. Be sure to see their great selection of outerwear from name brands like Carhartt, Ariat, and more. Need athletic shoes? Then see their great selection from brands like New Balance, Brooks, Reebok, Hoka, and more. Open Monday through Saturday from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. and on Sunday from 1 p.m. to 6 p.m. That's K&D Shoes, 2250 Dogwood Drive in Conyers. Call 770-483-9037. Or to learn more and see their great selection, go to kndshoes.com.
Dreaming of the perfect backyard this summer? Hi, I'm Jason with Rosewood Luxury Pools. We design, build custom in-ground pools with timeless design and lasting quality. As a licensed general contractor, we handle every detail from concept to completion so you can just relax and enjoy the process. Summer's right around the corner. Let's get ready for your pool party. Give us a call at 678-635-7276 or look us up at rosewoodluxurypools.com.
Roll-Off Systems of Statham, they're on a roll. They offer dumpsters in all sizes, trash compactors, porta potties, and new combo cans. Existing sites are new building sites. Trash and waste disposal, it's their business. Locally owned and operated. Call Roll-Off Systems today. 770-725-ROLL. That's 770-725-ROLL. Or go to rolloffsystems.com.
And welcome back, Marc McMain. Our next guest, a friend of mine, Gary Wilson. He's the founder of All Turf. Gary, thank you for joining us, sir. Oh, we have Gary?
Mark, can you hear me?
Yeah, I got you now, buddy. I can hear you. So, Gary, what I'm going to do, I wanted to start this off with you telling our listeners a little bit about you, your background, maybe up to the point where you got into business for yourself. But I'm going to preface this by just kind of sharing with our listeners how you and I met. So in 2005, you called us. Liliana and I had just begun the MTM shop, or maybe 18 months prior to this, and you were just launching All Turf, and you were spraying weeds yourself out of the back of your truck. You were a one-man operation, and I believe you were 19 years old at the time. Does that sound about right?
Yep, that's correct.
And so to fast forward, good Lord, I know that the past couple of years have gone in a blur, but tell our listeners about your background, your beginning, and up to that point, how you got into your own business.
Yeah, so at that point, we were in my dad's basement, and I was in the water heater room. So I went from my long travel to work every day, from my bedroom in the basement down to the water heater room. That was our glorious beginnings down in Loganville. But, yeah, no, my dad was in the landscape industry as I was a kid, and pretty much every single opportunity I got from the time I was 7 years old, I was on the truck with him, helping him. He was a single operator, so he needed the help. I mean, those summers were really tough on him, and I enjoyed it. I enjoyed being outside. I enjoyed working with him. But once I got through school and kind of got ready for college, I was in my freshman year of college and was doing all the same classes I did in high school all over again. And I remember the call. I called him. I was like, Dad, man, I think I really want to start this business and get going. But he's like, no, you need to finish college. And so another 6 months or so passed, and I was like, Dad, I really think I want to do this. And he's like, well, okay, we'll come home. You can continue to go to college, and we'll start this thing. And we did. And I kept going, and then at the end of that semester, I ended up stopped going to school, and I always said I would go back. And I never did end up going back because the business just continued to take off. So that's kind of how it started. It started off as a dream, and my dad had a background in it, but my goal was I wanted to go from, I never wanted to be on the truck the rest of my life. I wanted to grow a business. And because I'd seen how hard he worked, and so that was the goal, and obviously kind of had to start on the truck and did a lot of time on that truck to learn the business and learn the ins and outs of it. So that's kind of how we got started.
And your dad's business, wasn't that more like the maintenance side, cutting, landscaping, the physical labor side, versus when you started All Turf, that was more the chemical treatment to prevent weeds and to be sure that grass is fertilized correctly. Is that how it started?
Yeah, 100%. So when we started, he had the maintenance company, Wilson Lawn Care, and All Turf was started off of that. And our first couple customers, I think we ended up getting maybe 15 of his customers that converted to become All Turf customers. And, man, I'll never forget, first day I went there on the lawn, I didn't know anything. I had a full hazmat suit on out there on that first customer's lawn.
Right in the weeds.
Yeah, just scared of what I was spraying. And so just had to learn a lot along the way, and was lucky enough that some people took some chances on me there in Loganville, just customers. I mean, I was going door to door and just basically begging for business, and people gave a 19-year-old kid a chance.
Well, and I remember that because, you actually would then treat our grass, and I remember how impressed I was because you're 19 years old and you would show up in the truck and you're out there doing the work. You weren't looking for a way to cut corners. You weren't looking for a fast track to get rich or build the business. You were doing it the good old-fashioned way of just putting in long hours, hard work. And the other thing that you did, which I'm sure you didn't realize this at the time, but I know you realize this now, is you were functioning in every facet of your business nothing was beneath you, is my point, right? You were learning every element of the turf care business so that if an employee later in life was to come to you and say, hey, Gary, I'm struggling with X, Y, or Z, you could say, dude, I've done that. I've been there. I was on the truck. I've sprayed the weeds. I know exactly what you're going through. There's an element of that really is special, and I think young business owners need to understand is there's no shortcuts. You got to do it yourself in the beginning. You really do.
Yeah, 100%. And I mean, I've told all my employees over the years, I've done every job in this place. I've cleaned the bathrooms. I've taken out the trash. I mean, I've done anything I'm going to ask them to do, I've done. And that is a special place in confidence when you know you've done that. And honestly, along the years, I honestly think that's why our business took off my dad always pushed me so hard. He made it like he challenged me every single way he could in every single facet. And I wanted to continue to get better just to kind of prove him wrong in those ways. And I learned over the years what I was good at and what I wasn't good at. And but I'm glad I did every single one of those things. I mean, I'm glad I learned marketing. I'm glad I learned operations. I'm glad I learned sales. I'm glad I learned the HR side. I'm glad I learned the turf side. I mean, every one of those functions, the finance side, I can't believe I missed that. I mean, finance and P&Ls and balance sheets, every one of those things served me along the way to really be able to grow the business.
In the early days, what were some of the challenges that you faced? Above and beyond just the fact that you're 19, you put school on pause for a minute while you take this leap of faith to get involved in the business. What were some of the challenges that you faced, and how did you overcome those?
Yeah, I mean, 100% starting off, I mean, just knowledge, right? Didn't have a lot of knowledge, had to learn, just had to really be willing to learn, and how to get used to failure, getting doors shut in your face. I had a little bit of I got prepared for that a little bit in my first college job working for the AJC selling newspapers. Probably prepared me for some failure in lawn care.
Yeah, right.
Because I was selling a paper nobody wanted to buy at the time. And, and people would slam the door in your face. We were knocking doors at 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock at night around Gwinnett County. And so kind of the same thing in turf care, just getting doors shut in your face, not having success right away. Yeah. It took time. And not having the resources. We didn't have any money. I mean, we started this business. I'll never forget. My dad had one of those old checks that they send you in the mail with a credit card. And he said, when this money's gone, we're done. We're out of business. And that was $10,000. And that's all we had.
That was your seed money.
Yeah, we had no bank believed in us.
Right.
I vividly remember a local bank there in Loganville, us walking in the early days and saying, look, we have this idea, we need this money for this or we need it for that. And they didn't want to help us. And then it's kind of cool to go back 10 years later and then they want your business,
Yeah, the shoes on the other foot.
What can we do for you?
now they're taking you out to lunch. I like that. You're listening to the Marc McMain Show. Our guest, Gary Wilson, he's the founder of All-Turf. A little spoiler alert, and we'll cover this in the next segment, Gary, is the enterprise that you built this business into. But as we continue the journey of growth, which I find the most fascinating part of this, and I think what is beneficial to the listeners, especially those that are aspiring to be a business owner, an entrepreneur, when you are building this business now, so you're putting in time, you're putting in these long days, the summers are hot, you're spraying weeds, you joked about having a hazmat suit on, it's not the most glamorous labor. At what point did you realize, hey, I'm onto something, this is starting to grow, right? I'm building customers, I've got cash flow now. When did you realize that you think this is something that was going to explode?
It's hard to say because, right about the time we started getting momentum, 2008 happened, right? And so, as you recall, 2008 was a tough time in any business.
Sure.
And so right about the time we started getting some early momentum, that kind of had to halt. And so we had to batten down the hatches in 2008, really 2009, to survive. And, I vividly remember we would take side jobs. We would, anything. I would do anything to survive. And so I would say it was probably after 2009, we got through 2008, 2009 that we felt like we could get through anything. And so then from there, that's when it really took off. And it really was marketing. You know, I mean, obviously we were doing stuff with you, and we had gone from inside the book and going to covers, and learning the sales side really was where we started to get momentum. But then I made that decision one day, and I'll never forget it. I was like, I got to get off the truck. I got to get off the truck if I'm going to grow this business. And that's exactly what had to happen. And then I kind of became our sales force to get out there and sell and market and grow the business. And then that happened. And then from there, the next real curve, the thing that had to happen was finance. I had a accountant who was phenomenal. She was over in the Stone Mountain area, Tucker to be exact. And she was so gracious with me. I mean, I would come in there and sit at her office, and she taught me everything. I said, look, I just want to be a sponge. I want to understand everything. And I would just sit there and be kind of a tax office gym rat, if there was such a thing. And just learned as much as I could learn from her. And to be able to take that inside my business and really be able to understand how to make money and understand P&Ls is really when the business was able to start growing. Because I think so many businesses just don't understand the numbers, that it's really hard to make money when you don't understand how you're making it and what's costing you money.
Well, what was fun to watch from my perspective is, like you said, you were a seasonal customer with us. You typically would run from January to June, somewhere in that ballpark, and you would always put in your ad how many customers you had, kind of like McDonald's used to do the deal, you know, over 1 million served, over 5 million, over 100 million, and then 1 billion served. And I saw that same trajectory with you, where you would kind of boast. It wasn't boasting. You were just kind of saying, hey, we have 1,000 customers, and you'd hit these benchmarks. And every season that you would come back in the publication, I would see that benchmark increase. You know, it was 1,000, it was 2,000, it was 3,000 customers. And so that was just kind of a neat way for me on the outside of your business to see, man, this kid, and I still call you a kid, this kid is going somewhere. I mean, this business is really growing. And I like how you reference the hard spots too, because that's probably the biggest thing that small business owners don't realize, is that you're going to have good moments, but you better prepare for a rainy day. And so in the same thing with the beginning of your business, you had that rainy day.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, we did, and you know, one thing that happened to us, and I'll never forget it, and it was I remember looking at my dad, thinking like, man, like his life is over. When this happened, is we had our first accident, and we had an employee, and at the time we had started this business, we had really started to grow. We probably had 8 to 10 trucks on the road, and for whatever reason, we had his State Farm insurance account. It was still all insured under his name because it was a cheaper rate, I think, than our turf. Mm-hmm. And so we kept it under his name, and this wreck happened, and I showed up to the scene, and luckily the folks walked away, and it ended up being okay. But, I mean, I just remember him and how much fear there was in that moment, because I mean, I think we had a $100,000 limit, right? And like, they could sue him beyond it, and here he was in his mid-60s at the time, and it was just like, man, everything's at risk. And so that's just one piece of advice to anybody that's listening, is just insuring yourself correctly as well. You know, anything you do, because we just didn't think about it. We were so busy growing the business. Yeah, we were just growing our business, and we just didn't think about it. You know, and that's one thing that was a springboard as well, to just doing things right, making sure we did everything right. Because early on, in the early days, it was just kind of do whatever we got to do. And that was definitely a springboard to be like, you know what, we've got to do insurance right. We've got to have our attorneys lined up correctly. We just got to have all of our, our I's dotted and our T's crossed. And so that was a big moment in time as well.
Oh, I can only imagine. You're listening to the Marc McMain Show. Take a quick break. We'll come back, continue our conversation with Gary Wilson, the founder of All Turf.
Looking for that perfect piece of jewelry designed just for you? At P&A Jewelers, family owned since 1976, we've been helping our customers shine for nearly 50 years. Now proudly run by second-generation brother and sister team, we specialize in custom jewelry design, expert repair work, and fine jewelry for every occasion. Visit P&A Jewelers, where family tradition sparkles. Located in Loganville beside Quick Trip, or online at shoppajewelers.com. Follow us on Facebook to see what's new.
Have you been putting off auto repairs? Do you want a body shop you know and trust? Go see Auto Correct Collision. Auto Correct is a family-owned and operated collision center with over 45 years of experience. Their equipment and training exceed industry standards. No repair is too big or small. Ask about the special drawings and mention this ad for a discount. Visit Auto Correct Collision at 409 Mayfield Drive or call them at 770-207-1241.
Don't miss the huge discounts on new Fords and special financing rates for most qualified buyers going on now at Loganville Ford. Plus, see their great selection of pre-owned vehicles at their used car supercenter at discounted prices. Loganville Ford is your home for Quick Lane, offering service and tires for all makes and models. Open Monday through Saturday at 7 a.m. 3460 Highway 78 in Loganville. Stop in or shop online at LoganvilleFord.com.
Welcome back, Marc McMain. Our guest, Gary Wilson, founder of All Turf. So this is a business that Gary starts in the basement of his home with his dad. I love these stories, by the way. I love the stories of despise not small beginnings, as the Bible says, where you're just getting it going. You didn't take out a huge loan and open up a storefront or buy a warehouse. You just started in your basement and said, I'm going to get to work and start spraying weeds. And then things just kind of snowballed from there. So, Gary, kind of take us into the next phase. We talked about where you knew that you were onto something. You went through the tough times of the 2008 to 2012 recession. You come out of that, not unscathed, but you come out of that, and then you really started to grow. So now let's talk about the growing pains of you expanding, building. You're having to build an army. You've got multiple trucks. You just talked about the insurance issue where you had your first accident. As you start to now look at this from a CEO level, you're no longer a guy spraying weeds in the back of your truck. You're the CEO of this growing enterprise. What are some of the complexities that you're faced with now?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing, and this is a two-part answer, and I'm going to give the same answer on both parts of it, it's people. I think when we first started growing, you just realize you have to depend on people, right? You have to. And at first, depending on people was tough because you start to learn that some people will let you down, and you try to trust them at times, and sometimes things just don't go the way you expect. And so I think
is the element of like you feel like if I want it done right, I got to do it myself. Was that the mentality?
Yeah, well, yeah, for sure. If you want to take care of your customers and you want people to buy into doing it the All Turf way, right? Doing it the right way and not shortcutting stuff. And, you're hoping that every person you've got takes the same pride you take, right? And kind of the same thing in every position. You can take that from a lawn technician. You can take that over to somebody that's answering calls in the office. You can take that to somebody that's doing sales. Really anything. The person that's depositing the checks.
Sure.
And you just hope when you're building a company you can have people that care like you do. And so I just really always tried along the way to let people know how much I cared and let them know the standard that, good for our company was never good enough. We always wanted to get better, no matter how good of a season we came off of. Every single Christmas party, for 20 years, that's exactly the discussion we had. We just came off a great year. We're going to celebrate it, but we're going to get better the next. And so that was really part of the growth. But I will say that's also how we were able to grow. I was eventually able to kind of crack the code of finding phenomenal people, people that I could trust, people that I could depend on, people that were better. That's what I wanted to start to hire, were people that were better than me at their job. Somebody that was a specialist, somebody that knew finance better than me, somebody that was more organized than me, somebody that could sell better than me, somebody that could do operations better than me, somebody that could do chemical purchasing better than me. And I was set out to go find that and set out to find people that would buy into All Turf and buy into me and man, I was so lucky that I found so many good people that cared about this place and believed in me and believed in the company and in our mission and made it a phenomenal company and made it a joy to go to work every day and go to battle with those people. And that's exactly what it was. When you're in the turf care business, I mean, it is a high volume, it is a tough business.
Brutally competitive business as well. Brutally competitive. I mean, you're going to have
100%.
people that switch to another company just because they save $3 a year on their chemical treatment, right? So it's a very almost commodity level business that you're fighting price. So you have to be good at what you're doing to keep your customers that you've worked so hard to earn. And I want our listeners to really understand the vastness of what you created. So we talked about you began this business in the basement of your home, your father's home. And I think when anybody builds a business, in the back of their mind, they're always thinking, hey, if this takes off, it sure be cool one day to have an exit strategy. It'd be cool one day to sell the business and maybe, retire, cash out, move to the Caribbean, go on to my next venture, whatever it may be. Tell our listeners, to the point to where you did have your exit strategy, how big All Turf had became, and then what did that look like? What was the next chapter for you after you had built this enterprise?
Yeah, so first, before I had an exit plan, my dad and I, started this business together. He had the lawn care side, I had All Turf, and I kind of ran All Turf, and he helped along the way. Somewhere down the line there, probably about 10 years in, I purchased his part of the company as well. So we were 50-50 partners, and I purchased his half of the business.
Got you.
And I can tell anybody that's listening, like, those 10 years were some of the hardest years I ever had, but some of the best years I ever had.
Sure.
And really for our relationship and to be father and son, again, like running a business together was hard, and the time just became right to do that. And so once that was done, then the trajectory of the business was, I took a lot more risk. My dad didn't want to take a lot of risk back in those days,
Sure.
and I don't blame him.
Understandably,
He was in his late 60s, and he was set up for retirement and didn't want to take those risks, and I was willing to do that. And so the company really from that standpoint continued to grow. I think when I bought the business from Dad, we were probably maybe 5,000 customers, I think, something like that.
Wow.
And from after that moment, I mean, we went from 5 to 10, 10 to 20, 20 to 30, I mean, pretty quick.
30,000 customers being treated by All Turf. Their yards being treated. That's just mind-blowing for a business that began out of the basement of the house. I just love it. I mean, this is just, like I said, it's a good, old-fashioned small business success story. That's just fantastic. So you get the 30,000 customers. Now what are you thinking?
Yeah, so I mean, at that point it was like, man, this is fun. We're just going to keep repeating this. My team was thriving. Honestly, life was good, right? I mean, the biggest challenge at that size is, again, I never wanted to be corporate, but you have to be, to do well, you have to be organized, right? And you have to have systems, and you have to have meetings, and a lot of things that I just was kind of like the anti of before.
Right.
I was like, man, now we got to have more meetings, and now there's more. We got to do this, and we got to do that, and so I just that was probably the biggest challenge once you get to that size, is just keeping that real family feel to what we were, and I think we did that. I mean, we really did, and things were moving along well. I mean, we were still growing at a 20+% clip every year. Profitability was increasing. We were becoming more efficient, and I'll never forget. I got a call one day out of the blue, and a guy called and said, "Hey, I'm interested in buying your business." And I said, "Well, get in the line with everybody else, right?" That's kind of the way I treated it. Like,
Right,
I'm not interested in selling my business. At the time I'm 35 years old, and I said, we've got a great team. I love what I'm doing. I'm not going to do this. And he said, okay, yeah, that's fine. Well, then he calls back a couple months later and says, "Hey, I called you before." I said, "Yeah, no, you're calling again." And he goes, I want to make sure I explain this correctly. He said, they don't just want to buy your business. They want you to stick around. They want you to still have ownership in this.
Okay.
And they want to take your company and they want to take it and make it a national brand. They want to fund your business. They want to be involved, and they want you to grow this thing. And I said, well, what do you mean? And he said, well, it's called private equity. They want to come in and they want to buy a percentage of your business. You stay on, still have ownership, still run your people. Everything's the same, but you're just now going to grow this brand to another level. And I was like, okay. So I kind of kicked it away and said, I don't know if I'm interested in that. And had a conversation with a friend of mine who owned another lawn care company in Georgia. And he was much older than me. And I said, hey, they're kind of throwing this out there. It's kind of interesting. And he said, yeah, it is. And we went to a couple lunches back and forth, and we said, well, let's just go sit down with them. And anyway, long story short, we came to an agreement with Center Oak Partners out of Dallas, Texas, almost 4 years ago to today, and decided to sell majority ownership of All Turf to them. And he ended up selling majority ownership of his business. We closed the exact same day, and we merged our businesses together to make kind of this super turf care company.
Wow.
And he had locations in South Carolina, Tennessee, North Carolina, and Alabama as well. So that gave us some kind of scale right off the bat.
Sure.
And so that was kind of the beginning of this. I still had ownership of the new brand, and so did he. And we went to work on growing this, which that's a whole nother chapter, which I think you probably want to talk about next.
That is just
kind of what that looked like.
Just amazing. Just again, I love the trajectory of this. You listen to the Marc McMain Show. Our guest, Gary Wilson, founder of All Turf. Yeah, to think about, and I get it. You're in that phase of your business where you're growing it, you're rocking, you have trajectory. Then people are starting to knock on your doors. Hey, we'd love to buy you. And you and I both know that a lot of those people that are knocking on your door are tire kickers, and they're looking to see if you're in a depressed situation where they can steal the business. But instead, you have a company that comes to you and says, hey, we want to more than fairly compensate you, but also give you a chance to take this to the next level. And that speaks volumes to somebody like this who started this. This is your baby. This is your company you began in the basement of your home.
Well, yeah, and it became an opportunity for my people too, right? I mentioned those people earlier that have poured so much into this business and to me, that this was now an opportunity for them to be able to grow even more, right? More opportunities as we scaled, opportunities that maybe probably would have never existed.
Sure.
Better health care, better everything, more opportunities, bigger bonuses, and really just to accomplish what we set out to accomplish.
Yeah, these are careers that people could retire with All Turf if they decided to stay there. And that's what we've talked about before. It's like, not everybody wants to go to college. Not everybody's cut out to go to college. And you have these jobs that are in our backyard that offer these great solutions for you to work locally. A 10-minute, 15, 30-minute drive maximum. And, you great compensation, great benefits. There's just something to be said for that, and it still has a small business feel. You're listening to the Marc McMain Show. Our guest, Gary Wilson. We're going to take a quick break, come back, and we're going to start sharing some advice for entrepreneurs, whether you're young or old, whether you've been doing this for a while or you're just getting started. Maybe there's some tips that we can share that will point you in the right direction and save you a little bit of the agony that we've gone through in growing our businesses. We'll be right back.
Franklin's Gun Shop in Athens has everything you need for hunting and fishing. They have great prices on their guns, ammo, scopes, bows, gun safes, knives, blinds, tree stands, and rod and reels, clothing, and more. I do all of my shopping at Franklin's, and they're open 7 days a week, Monday through Saturday from 9 to 9 and Sunday noon to 6. At Franklin's, you'll get great customer service from people who know what they're talking about. Family owned since 1961, located at 3941 Atlanta Highway in Athens.
Cassie Enterprises invites you to stop in and see their new line of Coyote brand tractors, UTVs, and Bad Boy zero-turn mowers. Coyote tractors have the power to handle any job. Working on the farm, landscape business, and more, Coyote tractors are dependable and ready to work for you. Sales, service, parts, and more. It's all available at Cassie Enterprises. Family owned and operated. 145 Highway 83 in Good Hope. Go to CassieTractor.com.
Big news, Georgia drivers. DJ's Collision is on the move and is proud to announce their brand new home in Madison. After many years of service in Social Circle, the same team you know and trust is back with a fresh new look and location to serve you best. From flawless paint jobs to complete bodywork, DJ's Collision is where your car gets a second chance to shine. Check out their brand new location in Madison at 1231 Woodcraft Road. That's DJ's Collision. Give them a call at 770-760-8214.
Marc McMain, continuing our conversation with Gary Wilson, founder of Volturv. Gary, what we'll do is I want to talk now a little bit about people who are wanting to get in business for themselves, or maybe already in business for themselves and need a little bit of guidance or some advice. You and I can bounce around a couple little things that we've experienced in our growth phase. And then in the final segment, I do want to learn more about your next venture, whether it be with Volturv or what's beyond that, because it's so interesting to see the trajectory that you've taken. It is, I know it's fascinating for me. It's fascinating for our listeners. But the question that I sometimes get asked, and I imagine you do as well, is sometimes people will come to me and they will say, hey, what's your secret? And the secret I have is, hey, there's no get-rich-quick scheme. I maybe have a get-rich-slow scheme, but there's no get-rich-quick scheme. There's no shortcut to success. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it says it in the Bible, right? Hard work pays off, and I believe that 100%. It's what I preach to all of my children. I've got 3 little boys and a little daughter as well coming along, and
Congratulations.
No doubt about it. I mean, hard work pays off, and it starts there. It does take a little bit of luck along the way sometimes too, and just so happens that I 100% though subscribe with that. It's not and I think sometimes you've got to have. My dad and I always said this, like, we didn't start the business for money, right? Like that wasn't the intention. We wanted to grow something. We wanted to have something that was special to us. We wanted to take care of our customers, and we always felt like the money would come, and that's the truth. If you have good intentions of taking care of people and taking care of your clients and producing a good product, and you work hard, I feel like the rest takes care of itself, honestly.
I agree with that. I think there has to be a passion for what you're doing. And there's people that have been successful that disagree with me on this. I know there's some people that say you should just do what you do. And look, I'm not saying you don't work hard to put bread on the table for your family. Absolutely. There's a time in every man's life that you are just going to do whatever it takes to be sure that your family's taken care of. But when you go off into a venture on your own, an entrepreneurial effort that requires you to make a capital investment and a life change investment, pick something that you're passionate about. Pick something that you are excited about waking up every morning. And I say that because if you choose something just because you think it's going to yield big money down the road, but you do not like doing it every day, I don't think it's going to work. And if it does, then you're carved from a different cloth than me. I want to be excited about waking up every morning and going and doing what we do.
100%. And I mean, I think the trap you can fall in, and because I've been involved in many other businesses, which we can talk about as well at the end, but I think you can fall in this trap of thinking that everything you touch can turn into gold, right? And I think you can fall into this trap of thinking that, I'm just going to walk over here and I'm just so good that I can do this. And the reality is that you've got to have that passion. You've got to have that burning desire in your stomach, I think, for whatever you're doing to really have those results consistently. I mean, you can start anything, you can do anything to try to make money, but I think that's just very short-winded. I really do. I think unless you have that desire, that reason to strap your boots up every morning to go to work, I think you're just lucky if it works out otherwise. Well,
and you referenced the Bible earlier, and for me, there's no doubt that I want to feel that God has his hand on what I'm doing. I think that if God has his hands on what I'm doing, it's going to be successful. And if it's something that I'm just doing for me, for my own desires of like, I just want to do this, that's where you see failure. But if you are actually listening and paying attention to what the direction that God's pushing you in, it doesn't mean that it's going to be easy, but it's going to be a path of success. And I look at some of the mistakes that small business owners make, and I'm sure I made some of these myself, and I'll be curious to hear what some of the mistakes that you've seen small business owners make. But one mistake that I've seen small business owners make is they will have a good season in their business and they behave as if it is going to take place forever that way, and that's not the case. And what I mean by that is they may have, let's say they open a store and they're selling clothes, and the Christmas season comes around and they just kill it. They're profitable, they're making really good money, and they start spending money as if that is going to be their annual income. You know what I mean? So they made a tremendous amount of money, and they're like, oh, this is going to continue. And then the next thing you know, summer comes around, the clothing business slows down. They spent all their income that they made from the holiday season, and now they're in the tough months, and they don't have money. So to me, that's one trap that I see small business owners fall into. What are some of the other things that you've seen that maybe you even experienced or that you see young people or new business owners do?
Well, I mean, I think there's so many. I mean, you hit the nail on the head there. I mean, financially, I mean, cash is king. You've got to have cash in any business. To go to bed at night, I remember those days early on. We had to take a lot. We had to sacrifice a lot early on. You know, then the business had to be the priority. I think in front of myself, and that's the hardest part of starting a business is the business has got to be number one. It's got to be ahead of you. I mean, or it won't survive.
That's a great point.
And,
yep.
I mean, and that's what we had to do. We had to, in every little bit we could, we just poured back into it. We kept reinvesting and reinvesting and reinvesting. And I think that's what fed the growth. You know, so many people can drain the business of its resources and hope that it's going to continue to pay for them. And I don't think you can do that. I mean, you've got to understand the numbers. You've got to understand that a business you've got to keep pouring into it because you can't just keep draining it and hope that's going to survive.
Well, and you made a good point, too, about being fully vested in what you're doing, because I have been in the presence of brand new business owners. I'll never forget, I was at a party one time, and I was in the presence of it was friends of mine that owned a business. And it was after hours. It was, let's say, 6 or 7 o'clock at night, and their phone rang, their business line rang. Like, oh, no, I don't do business after 5. And I remember cringing. I remember thinking, I'm going to answer my phone until midnight if somebody wants to place an ad in my magazine. I'll take that business 24/7. Liliana shares that same viewpoint that we are never off the clock. And so if you're going to take that leap of faith and go into being a business owner, I just my advice, I think you have to own it 24/7. It's if you take the approach of only work from 9 to 5, then just go get a 9 to 5 job. But don't open a business because you're going to find there is chances to grow your business. And let's turn that around. There's chances to avoid failure if you're willing to work outside the normal 8-hour workday.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, it's truly, and I know MTM was the same way to you, Mark, is that, I mean, it was your baby, and this was my baby. I mean, work was, but I will say that as I went along, I found that I had to, I mean, and I've talked to so many business owners in my role the last 3.5, 4 years at the new company and what that was, buying businesses and seeing how people can get burnt out, that I had to find my own way along the way to say there's got to be healthy boundaries. There had to be healthy boundaries with my kids. There had to be like time with my family and things, because I'm one of those that, I mean, I took it to bed with me every single night. I would wake up sometimes in my 20s, middle of the night with panic attacks, and I mean, I lived it, I ate it, I breathed it, and I think you want to do that, and you've got to do that, but you also have to be able to continue to love that business. You also have to be able to be honest with yourself. And man, there were so many times when my kids were babies, I would come home, Mark, and I don't know if you ever did this, but I would literally just sit there in my car for 15 minutes and just let it run and just have to decompress before I walked in, because, I mean,
I know exactly
your business sometimes can chew you up and spit you out if you're not careful. And so that's something that I recommend to anybody, is you got to love it and you got to remember why you started it. That to me is everything. Is you got to remember that moment. Kind of like a marriage. Why did you get married in the first place? Well, why did you start this business in the first place? Did it give you freedom and flexibility you didn't have previously? Did it offer something to your family and your future that you wouldn't have had previously? The answer most of the time is absolutely. And why did I get in this specific business? Because I wanted to help people. I wanted to see something grow. And to me, I mean, it doesn't matter. It could be turf care. It could be marketing. It could be anything. I love seeing things grow. I love seeing people grow. I love seeing businesses grow. And I know you're a lot the same way.
Yeah, no, it's a passion. And you're right. That's a good point. You got to decompress. You got to find those avenues to where you can, family time to me is still first. It's something that I cherish. And so, and thank the Lord, my business has allowed me to construct my schedule in a way that I could go to the kids' soccer games, or I could go to the birthday parties, or whatever it may be. But it's you're absolutely right. If you don't find those opportunities to decompress, then it becomes a pressure valve. You're listening to the Marc McMain Show. Our guest, Gary Wilson, founder of All Turf, sharing his story of success from humble beginnings to building a major enterprise. Gary, let's talk about one more thing before we take this next break, and that is taking on a partner. My business is so much in contact with other businesses. I literally, over the years, have met thousands of other business owners and worked with them closely to help market their business. And the one common denominator that I will tell you is when we see somebody that comes to us that is a partnership, those quite often turn out to be a struggle. It's not for everybody. You and your dad made it work, but even you realized, hey, your dad, at his age, it was better for you to buy him out because you each had a different vision of where the business goes from there. What's your recommendation to somebody if they're starting a business and they want to take on a partner?
Wow. Yeah. I mean, I think have a really good attorney. I mean, that's my first piece of advice.
Great
I'm really
advice.
not kidding.
You're right.
And I'm really not kidding.
Yeah.
Is you better sit down and think about everything that can and will go wrong, because in likelihood, something's going to happen at some point, like you mentioned. I mean, and it's not because they're a bad person. It's not that, you're a bad person. It's that life happens. Things happen. You never know. I mean, God has a plan for us all. I could be driving in the truck today and die. I may not be here tomorrow. Tomorrow's not guaranteed. So
right.
You've got to have plans for everything, and you want to lay those things out. And you've got to have exit plans. Or your partner could come to you in 2 years and say, hey, I'm done. I mean, here's the keys. There's got to be a plan for that, so the business can continue. Bank accounts. I mean, everything. I mean, to me, so starting right there, I think you got to have everything has to be laid on the table. And I'm big about that in anything I do. But if you're going to have a partnership with anybody, both sides have to understand very clearly what they want from each other, because secrets just don't make good business partners.
It's a great point, and I think the biggest struggle that we've seen when dealing with people who open a business in a partnership format, whether they took on a partner after they opened or they ventured into business together, is be sure that you're mending with somebody that shares your same work ethic. Because the number one complaint that I see in partnerships that fail is that one side feels that they're working harder than the other side. And so, and there's little safeguards that you can put into place. And I think it's brilliant advice. You get with an attorney who has experience in this, and that attorney can actually put down guidelines that maybe address compensation based upon performance, so that if partner A is working harder than partner B, then partner A gets more compensation than partner B. But there's nothing more frustrating if it's a 50-50 split, but you're putting 80 hours a week and your partner's putting in 30 hours a week. That's not going to last. It never does. And that's every partnership that we've seen fail is because of something like that. But the other thing that I'll tell people that go into partnerships, and this is just the facts of life, around 50% of marriages fail in divorce. And so your partnership probably has a less chance of survival than that. And so you're going to be faced with that difficult decision of how do you, what is the exit strategy for one or the other? So my advice to people that are considering a partnership is that unless you truly have to have that other person, if they're bringing in financial resources that you must have, or they're bringing in a skill set that complements you, I suggest going it alone. I think it's an easier path, but that's for depending upon what your situation is in life. To close out this segment, Gary, if there's one piece of advice you could give a younger version of yourself as you're launching this business, whether it's in the basement, if it's during the recession years where you guys went through tough times, what would that piece of advice be?
Yeah, I mean, enjoy it. enjoy it because it's going to go quick. I mean, I think that's the biggest thing. Enjoy every second of it. I mean, go to work and love what you do. Enjoy it. Never stop wanting to get better. I mean, that has driven me as a parent. It's driven me in business. It's driven me in my walk with Christ. I mean, to me, that's my number one piece of advice. Wake up every day. Be grateful for what you have, whether it's what you want or what you already have, and that is 100%. Like for me, it's just going back and looking at this journey, man. Like, what a journey it's been, and just in some of those moments where I just took it too seriously. And don't get me wrong, it was my livelihood, but just it's part of your story forever. But I did want to share this, and I know you probably got to go to break, but I think this is key for anybody that's out there, and I see this in all the businesses that we went to buy. Most people don't realize that because you're a good mechanic doesn't make you a good mechanic shop. And I saw that time and time again in businesses we bought. My biggest recommendation is if you're a great at anything you do, you can be a great mechanic, a great engineer, but if you're going to be great at business, you have to be good at these other things. You have to have marketing. You have to have sales. You have to have operations. You have to have finance. And if you don't have that and you want to succeed, you better go find somebody that can help you in those categories, because businesses don't operate without it.
That's right. That's great advice. It is really good advice. You listen to the Marc McMain Show. When we come back, one more segment with Gary Wilson, founder of All-Turf. We're going to ask him what is next and what is on his plate. Stick around.
Madison Flooring, located at 1167 Eatonton Road in Madison, is your full-service and professional installation center for all kinds of flooring, from tile, carpet, laminate, wood. They even do showers. They have granite and quartz countertops. All military, police, firefighters, and teachers ask for your discount. Madison Flooring is locally owned and operated. For knowledgeable and friendly service, call 706-431-5152.
Since 1979, the Tim Stewart Funeral Home family has been caring for families in their time of need. The Tim Stewart family pledges to honor your loved one with excellence in service, compassion, and will guide you in making the right decisions. To learn more about the Tim Stewart Funeral Home family, stop in at one of their 3 locations in Monroe, Loganville, and Lawrenceville. Call 770-267-2594 or go to stewardfh.com.
Are you looking for custom t-shirts, golf shirts, or uniforms for yourself or work? What about a family reunion, a fundraiser, or sports team? Whatever you're looking for, Chris and Debbie at Blue Hound in Monroe can help you. Real Country uses Blue Hound for our golf shirts and t-shirts. They do quality work and they're great folks. Blue Hound is located at 111 East Washington Street in Monroe. Go by and see what they can do for you or call 404-307-3664. That's 404-307-3664. Tell them April sent you.
Welcome back. Marc McMain, Gary All-Turf, founder of Gary All-Turf. Gary Wilson, founder of All-Turf. Maybe you should change your last name, Gary, to Gary All-Turf.
I thought about it.
All right. This is great. I'm really enjoying this interview and this discussion. I think it's so beneficial to our listeners, and it's just fascinating to hear about your journey from humble beginnings to building this business. Gary, what's next for you? What do you got on your plate, and what's on the horizon as you think about and contemplate the future?
I'm still determining what that is, to be honest. I mean, like I mentioned earlier, I've got a 12-year-old son. My kids all go to Prince Avenue. I've got a 12-year-old son. I've got a 10-year-old son, a 9-year-old son. I've got a 4-year-old daughter.
That's good times there. That's great.
So I'm in the middle of just making memories with them in this phase of life right now. And really, honestly, we just sold the business, just sold again in December. And I'm completely out now. So we sold it the second time, and now.
So you're done with the All-Turf.
Yep, I'm completely done, and I didn't roll any shares, so I'm completely done, and kind of semi-retired as we speak. And I just really want to focus on my kids and my family, and all my kids are active in sports.
Are you coaching? Are you coaching baseball, or what are they playing?
I am. I'm coaching the 9-year-old. I've kind of done my time with the 2 older ones. We hit all the time. I built a little hitting facility over here on my property, and we hit all the time together and field and work on the game. And
because you were an aspiring ball player, I remember you played like in a rec league after high school, didn't you?
Oh yeah, I played after school, man. I was playing in like arena league football and playing slow pitch softball wherever I could. So yeah, I always loved stay active in sports, and now my kids are kind of living that through them a bit. But I don't know. I mean, I've in all my quiet time, which you don't get a lot of that when you've got 4 kids at their ages, but in any of the quiet time I get, I mean, that's been my prayer, to God, as God has blessed me beyond belief. Like, where can I make an impact? That's been my prayer. Like, what's next? Where can I make an impact? And, and I'm feeling my way through that. I do know that, what you had alluded to earlier, I am going to, whatever I do next, I'm going to absolutely love every single day. And I loved all turf, so for that day to be done, I'm going to replace that with something, my time into something I can be passionate about. And I think it's honestly going to probably be in sports because I started a podcast a little over a year ago.
Yeah, tell me about the podcast. You told me a little bit about it the other day. Tell me what you're doing with that.
Yeah, so it kind of came out of nowhere. It's a friend of mine from New York who I've gotten to meet in the baseball card world, and I had another friend of mine out of Wilmington, North Carolina that I also met in baseball cards. So when I sold the business almost 4 years ago, I got big into sports cards and collecting them, buying them, selling them, and it kind of got through my kids where I was just like, this would be fun to do. And then I started turning into a little bit of a business because I had a little more time on my hands, and next thing came to another. I mean, I really was doing well in this and enjoying it, and my kids were enjoying it. And so long story short, I started learning a lot about it and started to really run it as a business. And so I had 2 friends of mine. We talked about it all the time, cards in the space. And so we said, why don't we start a podcast? We're always talking about it. Why don't we? It talks about the sports card industry and how we build our businesses, and we talk about life and everything else. And so we started that a little over a year ago, and started with nothing once again. And man, we have it's really taken off. It's we've had Mike Trout on the show.
That's cool, yeah.
Who's obviously 7-time MVP.
California Angels, yeah.
Oh yeah, I mean he's a superstar in Major League Baseball. We've had Connor Griffin, who's the #1 Major League Baseball prospect on the show. We had Jack Caglione, who people would know from the College World Series. We've had just numerous. We've had Mike Mayhem, the CEO of Fanatics, on. I mean, we've had a lot of guests.
Any
really
special collector cards in your inventory that you're hanging on to that are not for sale that you're proud of?
I've got a lot of older stuff. Got some Babe Ruth. Those are kind of the cards I hold on to. Is the Ty Cobb, Babe Ruth, kind of the older, cards over 100 years old type stuff.
Those are some gems.
I get into a lot of these cards that are like one-of-ones. So, like these prospects is kind of what I specialize in. These guys, like before they're even known. So, like I have Ronald Acuna's probably second best card ever. There's only 5 of them ever made, autographed signed card, when he was probably 17 years old. And those cards, I mean, once a player goes big, I mean, those cards go deep.
They skyrocket, and yeah.
Cool. I get into a lot of these guys kind of early on, and it's a research-based thing, but the show has just taken off, and it's opened some doors really in the baseball space. So honestly, that's kind of what I'm leaning to, is probably getting involved in some capacity in the baseball world.
Something in that realm, yeah. That's cool. That's exciting. And like you said, it's something now at this point in your career you can be passionate about. You do something that you love and that you want to, get out of bed every morning and go to work. I love that part. You're listening to the Marc McMain Show. Our guest, Gary Wilson, founder of All Turf, sharing just some personal stories of where his ventures are now, what he's leaning towards. Gary, if you were going to tell somebody to read a book, I was too busy to read books when I was growing my business, so I can tell you I'm one of those people that built a business without really reading a book, but I have a lot of friends who have read books. If there's a book that you suggest, a book that you read, what would it be?
You asked me the easiest question of the day right here, Mark, the Bible.
Amen to that.
I mean, no doubt about it. If there's one piece of reading material that I need to read the most, and it gives me the most, is the Bible. And,
when it gives you a blueprint, it's just I've never felt the need to read a success book or a how to be successful book. I'm not saying they're not valuable to people. I'm really not. But it's just never something that I had time for. I was either busy with the kids or busy with the business or doing my thing, whatever it may be. And so I didn't know if sometimes there are people who are very successful and say, oh yeah, you got to read, X, Y, and Z, and I hear different names and titles of books. I didn't know if there was one that was
I read a lot of the business books. I mean, I like reading, and I've read a lot of business books, but honestly, I enjoyed reading books about other entrepreneurs. Like, there's a book that, and I can't remember the exact name of it off the top of my head, but it's about Truett Cathy and his story with Chick-fil-A. And I always found it interesting to read other entrepreneur stories and how they did it. And, it's just so interesting to me to hear those stories and, where they came from. And that book was phenomenal.
Yeah, it's a great story too, and that's a good Georgia story. That's the best part.
Yeah,
about it.
So that's what I would recommend. I think it's like, I can look it up, but it's definitely something about Truett Cathy. I just don't remember the name of the book.
Yeah, I don't know that I've read that one. What about you? What do you do when you fill your spare time? What are some of your hobbies or things when you're just trying to truly, just recreationally relax? What do you find yourself doing nowadays?
My farm, for sure. I've got almost 2,000 acres in Oglethorpe County that I bought when I sold the business the first time. And so my kids were avid outdoorsmen. We love fishing. We love hunting. I've named this farm appropriately Paradise Farms because for me, whenever I show up there, it's like my own paradise for my kids and myself and my family. And spend a lot of time there whenever I can, whenever I can get away. And I feel my blood pressure drop 30 points when I go there. So that's something I do. Obviously, we play a lot of sports. I mentioned that earlier. All my kids are active in travel baseball. They play football, basketball, and we love to travel.
Eats up plenty of time. Yeah. No, I know with the kids, that's where all of our spare time goes, especially at that age when they're teenagers. No, I love it, Gary. This is a great story. I appreciate you taking the time. I know you're a busy man, and I hope to see you soon. I know you weren't able to come in the studio today, but we got to do this again and maybe find out what's going on next. Once you land on your next venture, you may be able to sell stock in that adventure, Gary. Maybe some of our listeners will buy in. I know I'll be a buyer, so you let us know what that is, and we'll invest with you wherever you're going because I know it's going to be a success.
Well, it'll probably be sooner than later, Mark. I'm not one that my wife keeps telling me like, why don't we slow down a little bit? But I'm ready to get the old fangs back out and do something, even though it's only been a couple months. I'm not one to sit around, so I've got my eyes on some things.
When you know what those are, you call Chastity, get a schedule, and you can give us an update. And Chastity just did some research. She said there's 2 Truett Cathy books. Maybe it's one of these. How did you do it? Truett. And then the next one is Easier to Succeed Than to Fail. I don't know that I've read either of those. Are one of those?
Yeah. How did you do it? How did you do it, Truett?
All right. So that's the one you recommend. All right. Well, good.
Awesome.
At a minimum, you get to find out how those doggone tasty chicken sandwiches are made. So that's what's important.
He doesn't give that tip.
Oh, you don't get the recipe at least in one of those?
No, he doesn't give you the recipe.
Well, Gary, this has been a blast, buddy. I look forward to seeing you, and keep us in the loop. Let us know what's next for you, and we'll pull you in and listen to your story.
Appreciate it, Mark.
Absolutely. It's Gary Wilson, founder of Alturv. Love it. Love good, old-fashioned small business success stories, and I don't know that they get much better than that, where you start off in your basement, and then you build yourself into a mega empire. And who would have thunk it? Spraying weeds, know? That's just it doesn't. So that's the cool part about this is if you are looking for a path of success, it doesn't have to be some brand new widget, fancy technology deal. It doesn't have to do anything with AI. AI is never going to get there and spray weeds for you. I can tell you that.
Just what you love to do.
Do what you love to do.
Absolutely.
Work hard.
Yes.
And then he talked about something else that he mentioned that I thought was very poignant was at some point be willing to take your hands off a specific area of your business that you can hire somebody to do it better for you. When you get to that growth phase, because I think that's the biggest challenge. I know something I've always struggled with is just wanting to keep my hands on it, what I was doing, because I felt like, okay, if I don't do it, it's not going to get done. And so, there's so many little nuggets there that if you listen to this segment, I guarantee you walked away with something that you can work on and that can, you can add to your level of success. What's next for us tomorrow, Chastity? What's the show looking like?
So tomorrow we will have Rosewood Pools, the Rosewood Luxury Pools. We're going to have Mr. Jason Wood.
Okay.
Kind of getting everybody ready for the spring.
It's
maybe
gonna
talking
be swimming
pools.
season soon.
Yeah.
Get your pool in now so you can enjoy it for the summer.
Super excited. And then we'll have Mr. Haney and Mr. Dave Allen in the studio, and these are longtime friends of Julio's.
These are the WMOQ legends that would call in to the Julio show, so we've got them calling in the Marc McMain show. That's going to be fun. Are they coming in or calling in?
They're coming to the studio.
They're coming in person?
So we're going to have, we're going to have fun in the studio.
So I got to clean up. I got to put on my best duds.
Yes, Mr. Haney is... No telling what he's got on his truck tomorrow.
Okay.
And then we have Mr. Kevin Epps and Ben Bridges.
That's right. Yep. Kevin is a rock star attorney out of Athens. Ben Bridges is our very own sports guy here. So they're coming in studio. We're going to have a great conversation again. All right. Well, that was a lot of fun today.
Yes.
Yeah. We covered a lot today, Chastity.
We did.
I think if
show.
You spent 2 hours with us today, you're going to be more successful tomorrow.
And then we had Charlie on with us. So
that's always makes a great day. Yeah.
Yes.
No doubt about it. You're listening to the Marc McMain Show. We will be back on tomorrow at noon. Until then, stay safe, everybody.